like that.
About 5 years ago, Jordan gave a rather embarrassing speech at my wedding. And it looks like today I finally get to get him back. Jordan Andrew Taylor. He was many different things to many different people. He was an intellectual, a writer, a teacher, a Navy serviceman, a comedian, and an adventurer. Father, husband, son, brother, and to so many of us, he was an amazing friend. But to me, he was so much more. You see, Jordan was my creative soulmate. My name is Sam, and for 3 decades, Jordan was one of my closest friends. It was literally 30 years ago, August of 1993, that we first met. We were in a special school program called CATS, along with Mr. Brian Spelsky. Supposedly, we were these smart, gifted kids. I say supposedly, it was Northwest, the standards are low. The thing about Jordan that connected us immediately is that his talent was writing. My talent is drawing. He could think of unbelievably wonderful ideas, and I could visually bring them to life. From childhood on, we shared an unbreakable creative bond. We treated life like one big CATS project. Whether it was starting a professional wrestling company, or doing hilarious speeches and skits, or driving around the country to sell our comic book at all the big arena conventions. To understand Jordan's life, you have to understand that there are 2 eras of Jordan Taylor. There was Jordan in his youth. My God, was he a troublemaker. Jordan had this problem as a kid. This problem was he was smarter than all of his teachers. He knew it, they knew it, and it led to years of him being put in the hallway, sent to the principal's office, and sometimes even suspended. He was the most outspoken young man that I've ever seen in my entire life. See, Jordan had this gift, but it was also a curse. Which is, if Jordan imagined something that he wanted to do, or something that he wanted to say, he absolutely could not hold it in. He literally had to do it, or he had to say it. Am I right? Which that led to him making many people laugh, and made some people angry. I once told his mom, Janet, that I'm the only reason Jordan didn't get beat up more when we were younger. There was a few times he did, and even I said that's because you deserve that one. As an adult, Jordan grew and matured greatly, but he still had that need for adventure. When we were in our early 20s, he surprised me by saying that he was signing up for the Navy. He had never once mentioned to me that he thought of anything military related, but that was Jordan. A few months later, I was telling him goodbye, and the next 8 years would be lots of calls, texting, and emails. His family was his #1 priority. It was his ultimate goal to see them grow up to be as intelligent, ambitious, and adventurous as he was. I still remember the day that he told me about Conda. "You gotta meet this girl," he said, totally out of the blue. "I'm gonna marry her once I get into the Navy, and we will move to wherever I'm stationed." We then went to Crescent Ball and met Conda at her work a short while later. And then they left for his military career. That was Jordan. I remember whenever I called Jordan to tell him that I was going to be a father for the first time. It was 17 years ago. The conversation began like this: "Dude, I've got something big to tell you." He replied, "Okay, but I've got something to tell you too." I said, "Then you go first, because my something big is definitely bigger." He then says excitedly, "Oh yeah, Conda's pregnant. I'm gonna be a dad." I replied, "Wow, When he got out of the Navy and moved home, he told me that he felt discontent with who he was as a person. He didn't think that the IT life was his calling. He was considering becoming a teacher. I thought it was perfect. The truth is, as I stand here in front of so many people who knew Jordan and interacted with him in his life, each one of us at some point in time learned something from him. Jordan was a teacher. He was always taking any new thing that he was fascinated with and trying to explain it to the world. If you didn't understand something, he had a way to dumb it down using his unique analogies. And by the end of the conversation, you would learn something new. That was our friendship, really. Hours and hours, years and years of trying to teach each other some new thing that we thought was interesting. Whether it be psychology, history, marketing ideas, or just dumb creative things that we wanted to do. Honestly though, he taught me way more than I taught him. In fact, he still is. The day that Jordan passed away, I drove directly to his apartment. I had the unfortunate honor of telling his kids. Before I left, I looked over the mountains of books that he had. There were hundreds and hundreds of books everywhere in Jordan's apartment. It was like scanning his mind, seeing all the things he himself had learned from. There was one book in particular that he told me a while back that I could borrow sometime. It's nothing fancy, it's just a book on business marketing. But I decided I was leaving his apartment with that book. So a few days ago, I started to read it. Inside, I noticed Jordan had written little notes, things that helped him break down and understand what it was that he was reading. The thing is, as I was reading these little notes, I could literally hear him speaking the words. And once again, Jordan was teaching me something new. To close this eulogy, I want to say, in this room, there are a handful of people that I could easily say are my best friends. Because you definitely need more than one. They're all there in different ways to help you in life. Some are there to help you laugh. Some are there to help you up when you're feeling down. Some are there to just be your crazy-ass, dark humor friend that you can say any weird joke to, no matter how bad it is. And of course, some friends are there to teach you. I can easily say that to all of our group of best friends, Jordan was all of those things. He will be missed dearly, but in his 41 years, he gave us more than most people will in an entire lifetime. Rest in peace, my friend.
In Canada, on behalf of the Department of Veterans Affairs, I'd like to present this Presidential Memorial Certificate, honoring your husband's service